The Honourable Member for Hiri.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, for the opportunity to address the House on also sentiments shared, similar to those shared by the Governor for East Sepik Province. And the issues I'd like to address is that the culmination of the facts and the state of affairs affecting the globe and our municipal economy culminated into an exchange the other day between the Treasurer and the former Prime Minister, the member for Hiri-Koiari. And I address this issue as a first-time MP on the floor of Parliament. There are 41 of us in this House, most of who have been prompted by the events of yesteryears and complaints of yesteryears to come into this House and make a particular difference. And as we do this, Papua New Guineans, as a Papua New Guinean, I feel as if we have a very short memory. In the PNC-led regime, everybody wanted to throw stones. Some of us are all in this House today. Again, in this regime, the same very people are so quick to throw stones at the current regime and its affairs and how we're running this country. See, our good treasurer is only one man. Our Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape, is also one man. And in his time as the Prime Minister of this country, the member for Hiri-Koiari, Honourable Peter O'Neill, was also one man. We seem to be very, very quick to judge, but not very quick to offer solutions. The writings on the wall. Governments cannot fix the population at any one time, at a drop of a hat. But the efforts that every successive government makes are worth taking note of and worth taking the heart to work for this country. It has now been 48 years, and we seem to be continuously doing the same thing, expecting a very different result sometimes. As the former late President of the United States said one day, let's not ask what of a country, but what are you going to do for your country? Ask not of what the country will do for you, but you and I will do for our country. If we so really love this country as we say we do. Rome wasn't built in one day, they also said. The economy, of course, needs our help. I think we can all agree to that. But I think where we are missing the point when we discuss our economic hardships is that 47 years has transpired. We've made constitutional changes, legislative reforms, bureaucratic changes at the cabinet levels of successive governments. And yet, no matter how many changes we make, how many resources deals we sign off, how many big projects we can sign off, we still find ourselves in a very strong disadvantaged position. When I say we, I am talking about the 8 million people in this country, 80% of whom are all in the rural sector. We can't continue to do this blame game, because the point is, people are moving from the rural villages into the fringes of every city. Port Moresby is a clear classic example. Lae is a clear classic example. Mount Hagen is another example. Every urban center has its fringes of communities building and brewing up. We are all running for the same pie. And yet, every time we talk about building the rural economy, well, how are we going to build a rural economy if we are not availing credit to our rural economy? And how can we avail credit to the rural economy if we're not availing securities to our rural economy? And how can we avail security to our rural economy if we cannot formalize their assets in the rural economy? This is why people are shifting to 6 Mile, shifting to Hiri-Koiari, shifting to the fringes of Lae, Because everybody wants the same thing, poor or rich. We all want a shelter over our heads. We also all want clothing. We all want a meal on the table. And all of these things require access to financing. Without financing, we cannot feed our families. Our people are going to continue to struggle, and the complaints are going to continue to culminate. And every 18 months, you will want to change the government. And yet we complain about the lack of stability. We have an opportunity. We have just passed the 24 billion kina budget. A budget that will probably increase the next financial year. It will keep increasing against the very little security that is only available to this country. Our fault, and I resound and I adopt entirely the sentiment shared by the Governor for East Sepik Province. We need a very close look at the structure of government. And I say that with great care. I say we need to look at the legal framework. We keep trying to play rugby league on a golf course. We keep trying to put a square pole through a round hole. This is why we keep finding ourselves at the drawing board. We keep trying to do reforms at the high level. But we fail to understand every economy on this planet Earth and the globe works off security. And the security is land. We have 80% of land in the rural sector. When are we going to include our rural populace if we do not legislate or formalize that legal economy? If we do not have proper identification for our legal populace, so that they are not creating extra legal activities, not illegal, but extra legal activity, so that they can survive. But imagine if we are to formalize their local economy, formalize their access to credit, then everybody we will be doing a great justice to our people and for our people. I also, like I said, adopt and endorse the sentiment shared by the Governor for East Sepik Province, and then really requires need to look at the playing field on which our budget will be run. When we are running the economy, we must avail the necessary security for every Papua New Guinean to access credit. There is no point in putting 1 billion kina into the NDB so as to avail it to the rural sector if the rural sector is not going to be able to avail the security fundamental by banking principles to access that credit. There is no point. And unless we take some structural adjustment on the legal framework of credit in the context of formalizing customary land tenure in this country, we will be wasting our time and repeating ourselves over and over and over again like a churning time clock. And sooner or later, if the global economy is going to crash, we are going to be dragged with it because we fail to understand our own jurisprudence, our own social units of clans. For thousands of years, Papua New Guineans always hunted and gathered and banked together as clans. Why do we keep kidding ourselves? There is absolute and necessary need that this kind of reform and thinking must be adopted. I also encourage and urge all those critics, because the same critics will be continuing the same narrative even 20 months down the line. Some of the time, talk thank you, Lord Government, let me walk one time. Some of the time, you must talk thank you, Lord Prime Minister Bloyumi, the hard work for those privileged to have served this country as prime ministers and ministers of state will understand. I also understand some of you do not sleep. So, I'm hard work, man. With these few remarks, I want to say, God, He can bless you in Mogata. Do something like thing. Thank you too much.